We can have meetings that are just as bad on Zoom as they were in a conference room. Just as boring, same games, same leader arriving late and everybody sitting there working on their phone. You know, it's but now is a chance to replace some of the bad habits. I want to go back to the quote, Linda, that you began our session with. And if we look at, you can look around you right now, that plant behind you, the books in the bookcase, the end dust on my desk, it's all there because it began with a thought. Everything that's around us, everything we can touch, everything that moves in the world begins with a thought about that thing. And so any recovery has to begin with a thought about that recovery. So people like those that Rasul cited, we can't ask people to be a certain way, but there are people who are adept at envisioning that, putting those thoughts in motion. And this is going to sound like I'm a paid publicist for Rasul Shair. I assure you there's no transaction around this. I just replaced Tron with Rasul, and it's like a one-to-one. But we're here today in this session, I am, because of a thought that Rasul Shair had in 2008, early 2008. And it was curiosity. He's going, who's this dude out in LA writing about improvisation for business? And I'd never heard of Rasul Shair before, you know, out of the blue, here comes a guy. And within a year, we were visiting and hanging out. And that was an inflection point. That led to this. It began with a thought. And then a couple of years ago, I gave a presentation on storytelling in DC for a bunch of media folks, and Kareem Ali comes up to me afterwards. And I had used the word equality in my presentation. It was one of the simplest and most profound conversations. This was the first profound conversation. He came up to me and he goes, think about what would happen. This was you and Jamal, Kareem. Think about what would happen if you replaced the word equality with the word equity. And that's all he said. We didn't discuss it. We didn't go any deeper into it. But I was like, for days afterwards, I was going, wait a second, the whole world shifted for me. And my understanding of narrative and who, you know, owns a narrative, quote unquote, who has equity in a narrative, because we always think of equity as an outcome. Equity is also a design. It's there for a reason. It's there because somebody had a thought about how the pie should be sliced. And now we have a chance to bake a new pie and think about slicing it in a different way, in a more equitable way. So I think, you know, the thinking about it and using curiosity as the lever into those new thoughts, asking questions, knowing that two things: we're not alone and we're still here. A friend of mine said that last night in a writer's workshop, Peter J. Harris, who's a poet, who is a child of DC. His brother was a DJ, famous sports DJ. Kareem, you know who he is, but with Petey Green, and he goes, we're still here. And I cling to the strength of my African-American friends, and especially the women. It's been 400 years. We're sitting here looking at, oh man, it's been a rough 6 weeks. It's been over 400 years and we're still here. And I just take a ride on that strength. I take a ride on the persistence and the resilience and the positivity, the light that can shine through the worst of hardships. And that's for me personally, and we feed that as much as we can into 21 Day Story, that vibe. And so, you know, but it begins with thinking. It goes back to your first quote. That's everything.